So that's why you do the tomato harvest in a few steps. We're going to be talking about lemon balm. So here's some lovely lemon balm here, and it smells wonderful. And I'm going to talk about this lemon thyme and this rosemary plant. And we're going to drink this, which is actually really tasty. You can see the ingredients there are pretty healthy. And
the kale spinach apple mix
we missed this. Both of us went over that area.
In the back, yeah.
Yeah. Karate Kid Legends got top of the stack against Conclave. The Boys Season 4. And Dirty Angels. And this is James's dinner for today.
Oh, yeah.
Some mac and cheese with some shrimp and sprouts and
mac and cheese. Yeah, that's pretty strong.
spinach.
I'm basically just going to eat the shrimp, and then I don't have some water here, so.
Well, you have this.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I just woke up this morning.
I don't know. That shrimp smells bad to me, but it always smells bad to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, now I think
You
I'll
will
be
know
able to
better.
talk,
So, Karate Kid Legends. This one had Jackie Chan in it and Ralph Macchio.
But all grown up or something?
All grown up, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So,
Well, Jackie Chan was
Well, yeah.
grown up way back when. I actually saw the original on a plane, and I felt like a prisoner.
I know.
You know,
that's
it was
how I
like
felt.
a movie show. The Prisoner.
I had a close friend who was really into the Karate Kid. Back in, I guess
The
it would
day.
have been the 80s, and
Yeah.
so she did karate, and I even went to watch her in her karate matches. But yeah, I had a little yellow banana board skateboard, and
that's
she'd pull me along on her bike, and then she got a skateboard, a bigger kind of skateboard, and
Well, she was better
then I'd
off
pull
than you,
her
was she?
on. Yeah.
I
Then I'd
know
pull her on
which
my
it
bike.
was in a cul-de-sac. I think that you got pulled around on the skateboard. Right?
No.
Oh, it's a different area.
No, we'd go all around the neighborhood and that way. But no, I didn't actually like skateboarding.
Yeah.
I liked riding my bicycle, but my favorite thing was riding on my roller skating. I loved roller skating. So when they'd freshly paved the cul-de-sacs near my place, because the people who live in the cul-de-sacs make more money, so they'd get their cul-de-sacs paved quite frequently. Then we'd rush out, and I'd be roller skating like all day for as long as, until it started getting gravelly and stuff, right? It was awesome. Anyway, I don't know how I got on that. I guess I was just thinking about my friend, who I haven't seen her in forever. I don't know what's happened to her. I totally loved her, but we went different ways. I mean, her parents were Catholic, and not appreciative of my teenage rebellion. So it didn't work out. But we were friends for several years until that happened. Anyway.
They were they wouldn't live in that cul-de-sac now.
No, they didn't live in the cul-de-sac.
Oh. I misunderstood that.
No, actually, as much as the parents were not fans, I mean, their house was very barren. They had very little stuff around them. The husband made a lot of money. I don't know if the wife made an income or what, but apparently, my dad and my friend's dad, they were friends for a while when her dad found out that my dad liked motorcycles, and then my dad found out that her dad liked cocaine, and then they weren't friends. So, but I mean, us girls were still friends. But I think that's why they didn't live really wealthy, because she got things like She read Archie comics, so she had huge stacks of Archie comics or stuff like that. But she didn't have a. She didn't seem any wealthier than me, really. Not, not really. Um, anyway, but yeah, I totally loved her. And her sister was stunningly beautiful, a little bit older than me. But anyway,
That's
back
one
to
thing
the.
people would understand nowadays. The Archie comics, and they're still selling them.
Are they? That's
Like,
weird. I never liked them. You know, like we'd read them, her and I, because she had them, and I just wanted to hang out with her, really.
yeah.
But I don't know how many things we really had in common. But we totally liked each other, and I mean, I was very amiable, so it didn't really matter. Karate Kid Legends. So why did this get top of the stacks? Well,
Uh-oh. Now I'm a
I
little worried.
actually, no, I thought
It was
that
okay.
they pulled off a good Karate Kid movie. In fact, I think it was better. I can't really remember the original Karate Kid movie. I didn't watch the one that, apparently there was one put out in 2010, but I had no idea it existed until I watched all the extras in this, because frankly my house was cold and I was under covers and I didn't want to have to get up to turn off the video, so I just let it run through. So I watched all the extras. And anyway, I thought it was better than the original. And the original was really, really popular. So how could I not give this top of the stack? There were some problems with it. I will talk about them in a bit. I actually enjoyed watching this more. How? When I picked this out, I was like, oh, am I even going to be able to watch this thing? Conclave. Well, it has Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini. Need I say more? They really made this story awesome, and it was interesting. I didn't know how the Pope got... James knew, but I didn't know how a new Pope was selected. And this has an interesting... there's an interesting story here with a very interesting ending that, honestly, I think anybody would enjoy this.
You notice how smart Pauline is? She said selected. So often they'll say elected.
Well, they say that in here, right?
They
But
say elected.
they say
It's not elected. And when I see that in one of my own books, where it's a dictatorship, and they say elected, I just put a little caret and then an S there, selected. So I don't know. It used to be, I think,
It's an
70
interesting
cardinals
the way-
who picked the bozo out. But
It's interesting the way that the Pope is selected. And it's so I really enjoyed watching this. And like I said, or like I implied, I am not Catholic, nor was I raised Catholic. I was raised Christian, but not Catholic. So anyway, The Boys, I enjoyed this a lot. I enjoy every season I've watched of this so far. There's what's his face within this?
let's see.
Will funny guy. I can't remember.
Will
Ferrell.
Ferrell.
Yeah,
Will Ferrell.
he was in this. Had a little guest
Yeah.
appearance, so that was nice. And Seth Rogen is one of the producers, I think, of this. So,
A good Canadian guy.
who is he?
He's Canadian.
I totally love him. So that's great.
His
Anyway,
voice will never recover from his abuse or use, shall we say, of various medicinals. I think he's heavily into marijuana.
well, anyway, so why did this get this far down? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Dirty Angel Swallow. This wasn't. It's not my cup of tea. And another day, it might have rated higher in the stack. It's just this
They
is
were
pick.
taking on the Taliban in that thing.
Well,
Dirty Angel.
yeah, I'll get to it, but this one's a story about some hostages. There's a high school in Afghanistan where a bunch of girls were taken, high school girls were taken hostage, and Really, they wanted one girl in particular, and so anyway, there was big ransom demand and this and that and whatever, and but some American soldiers go to the rescue in their girl power,
Good.
and so that I liked, and because girls rescuing girls, right? And the one high school girl who they were after in particular, she's kind of tough. So that's not too bad. Anyway, it was Taliban against. There was war going on, or fighting going on, like they were calling it civil war. Taliban against whatchamathingy. ISIS.
ISIS.
See how much I'm into this. I don't know any of this stuff. And
well, ISIS, are they trying to make the Taliban out to be nice people?
They were, honestly, in this, they were trying to, I think, like the one leader of one of the groups, I don't know. Anyway, one guy was saying he must have been ISIS. Yeah. So the one guy was saying that the Taliban are devout and ISIS, or he's more political or something. It's more about the land or something like that. And it's like, well, it's political and devout on both cases. I mean, there's no separation between church and state, so what?
In Islam.
Anyway, whatever. Karate Kid Legends. Now,
before we move on to that, I'll just say that, well, no, you do your thing, and then I'll talk about who the Taliban really represents.
Bottom of the stack, anyway. Karate Kid Legends. So, top of the stack, I like Jackie Chan. I like watching this stuff. So, I found it entertaining. Now, watching the extras, it kind of made sense to me. I'm glad I did watch the extras, as it turned out. It was good that my house was so cold last night. So, the guy that they got to play the new Karate Kid in this, they were talking about how, well, we had a lot we were looking for. We were looking for somebody who could act, somebody who knew both, I think it was Mandarin and English, spoke fluently, and what else? Somebody who knew martial arts really well, right? So this is a big list that they're trying to fill. And they looked at a lot of people and they chose this guy because, like, his background was mostly acting. He was, that's his strong point. And really, they could do a lot with stunt doubles and stuff like that. So you do want a good actor in a movie. It really helps, especially when he's going to be in every scene. So he's he does the job, and he's young and everything, but whatever, he did the job. There were a few problems with this. I mean, fortunately, Ralph Macchio wasn't in that many scenes because he's a terrible actor.
Yep. And
in spite of that, the original Karate Kid was still really famous and popular, whatever. Like the rooftop fight scene, the sky fight, that was ridiculous. You can't draw that much of a crowd, and so they didn't show a whole bunch of cameras around, because then you could say, okay, well, maybe these people who are surrounding paid a lot of money to be there, and then people are watching, and maybe they're paying like some sort of a match fee, like just a watch or something, to have a live stream of this fight or whatever. So the rooftop fight scene just seemed stupid to me. Why would they do that? It doesn't make sense why any venue would have that, because you couldn't make that much money off of it, and they're supposed to it's a big prize of money that they're giving to the champion. How are they making the money from that then? If I'm not seeing cameras around and there's not very many people allowed, like able to fit on the top of a roof to watch this thing. So I don't know, it's kind of silly. And I didn't like the ending. It just you had a scene between Ralph Macchio and another guy that neither one of them could act, and I just didn't see a point to it. It was stupid. So, in spite of that all, they ended up pulling off a decent movie. So, it was entertaining. I don't know what you want. Conclave, I was sure I was going to give this top of the stack because I preferred watching this, but I realized that most people would prefer watching this. And because the Karate Kid, as far as Karate kids go, and I guess they're really popular, then this is the best one probably. Like I said, I haven't seen that middle one, but I didn't even hear about it, so doubt that could be any good. This one, I mean, the acting's great. The story is interesting for an adult. I think, like myself, I found it interesting. And I don't know how many people outside Catholics, and I don't know how many Catholics would actually find this interesting.
Hard to say.
So that's why this got second and stack, even though I liked it more. The Boys, season 4. The big problem with this, I mean, there's a lot of gore and everything, and a lot of people might go for that. And it seems like the big thing in shows is to show, I mean, they're flaccid, but to show full frontal nudity of men.
Is this where the guys came up with the machine guns? Was that
with the penises? Yeah.
Yeah.
Penises hanging out.
I think they'd been kind of playing with themselves. There was
no.
Okay, they were cast for.
I think they were just cast for that.
Oh, yeah.
Because honestly, what James is mentioning is they were long, but they were dangling. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's funny that you said that, because that reminds me of my ex.
Well, it just looked ridiculous.
Anyway.
Coming up with machine guns. So.
Well, and that scene was silly anyway, because if apparently the alpha is going to die in a group of like they have the superpower to like make many of themselves, split off so that there's many of themselves. Then if the alpha could die, well, why wouldn't he just like hide somewhere? They'd have him locked up in a cage. Safety, Why would they have him out? Anyway, so that scene was stupid. There's a lot of things in this that are stupid, and if you like fight scenes and stuff, well, yeah, there's some decent ones, but there's way better in Karate Kid Legends. So how can I put that ahead based on fight scenes? I can't. The acting, well, it's not really horrible. It's fine, I guess, for this sort of thing. The main problem I have with The Boys is the title of the show. Honestly, I have watched now 4 seasons. I bet you I won't remember the title when I see this come up on the libraries, whatever, library bank, whatever, on the page saying that it's a new arrival. I won't know what it is. I didn't know what this is. I'm looking at this and I'm like, do I kind of recognize them? I don't know. I didn't know what this was. After 3 seasons, and I actually enjoy watching the show, okay, I should know what the title of the show is, but I don't, because this is a stupid title for this show. I don't know who thought of it, but you did not do the job. This is terrible. I don't know why they gave it this title. Terrible, terrible. And we saw some signs, fight like a girl, in this, and we're seeing a lot of that lately. It's very strange. And usually that means fight dirty.
Okay.
But not always, right? But that's, I don't like that. I don't like the fight like a girl meaning fight dirty. That's not. Because anybody could fight dirty, and then, okay, if you fight dirty and you're a girl, then some guy will fight dirty with you and you're done. So it's not going to make you tougher. Anyway, it's like the woman in Karate Kid. She was saying if you train for fighting, then what you will get is fighting, or whatever. If you train for violence, what you get is that's what you're going to get. So anyway, so James is going to talk about ISIS and the Taliban now, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say about this because it's a fight 'em kind of movie and whatever, army stuff, whatever.
So Americans in particular, but Europeans as well, they don't understand what's happening in the world. Americans, Canadians are awful too. And so they're going around looking for good guys instead of realizing about as good as it gets are well, up until Donald Trump, are crummy leaders and are at least marginally democratic institutions. So when the United States was allied with the Taliban and with Osama bin Laden, the guy eventually later formed Al Qaeda, which means the base, I think, in Arabic. This means the base. Actually, Mossad, the security agents, or the main security agent for the Israelis, it means the base too. Something like the foundation. Anyway, from that, there was this idea, and it's still hanging out there, oh, the Taliban are pretty good guys. They're not. They're not even Afghan. Okay?
Well, they weren't good guys in this movie.
Okay.
No.
They were as bad as ISIS then?
Well, I don't know about as bad as ISIS.
Okay.
We don't know, but they weren't trustworthy. The one woman from the Taliban had been saved by one of the soldier women in the past.
Okay,
and
now
so she was trusting this Taliban woman when she shouldn't have.
Okay,
I
so
just gave away
she
the
was
story.
actually, well, it sounds as though it's really not worth watching. The Taliban woman was actually, was she going to be a suicide bomber? Because that tends to be the way they use women.
No.
Okay. So she was
So I didn't
like
give
a
away
fighter?
the whole story, I guess.
Okay, anyway. The Taliban, I'm still going to talk about how people have got these illusions or delusions.
Okay, you do that.
The Taliban are agents of imperialism. They're Pakistani imperialism. And, people were saying, some really stupid people were saying, oh, the Americans are involved in there because of gas. And I think they would have been smart enough to say, not say oil, but in Afghanistan. The Americans don't care about that stuff. Why? Because you'd have to set up gas pipelines, all this sort of stuff. I don't think Afghanistan would be like a huge source of gas. Americans, if they're really hard up for gas and we're going to squeeze it out of someplace, they'd squeeze it out of Alberta. Jesus Christ, it's so much closer.
So much closer.
Yeah. People don't
And plus,
understand.
we've been giving it away, basically.
To them, exactly right. The oil in particular. We used to charge a 5% royalty, and then Ralphie is one
Which
of his...
was so cheap.
Well, it was
Which
cheap.
was like nothing.
And then Ralphie, as one of his aficionados, was saying this year on one of the creepy channels, I don't know if it was Global or Rogers, Ralphie, as he was calling him. Ralphie was saying, we're not really possessive with our gas. We like to give it to our neighbors. He never said not to Ontario Aryans.
Yeah,
but he
not
pumped
to
it
our
down
Canadian
to
neighbors.
not up, but down to 2.5. He halved it, and I think that's still the going rate. And you get Donald Dump saying, oh, we really drive a hard bargain up here in Canada. Yeah, that's a real hard bargain, having the royalties that you charge Americans.
Which were just pathetic. I mean, when
5%
you
is
compare that
sympathetic.
to like what Norway
Norway,
charges and
and
stuff.
Norway wouldn't really charge the Americans. A lot of people are going to say, oh man, the Americans, they're hungry for Middle Eastern oil. I don't know if Americans get much oil from the Middle East. They might get some from Libya. Why would they get some where they've got to transport it through the Suez Canal and stuff like that? I suspect most of the stuff from the Persian Gulf goes to places like China and Japan. There wouldn't even be that much to Australia, because Australia's population is even lower than Canada's. I don't know if they've had the huge population explosion we've had here. If they haven't, their population might be roughly half of Canada's, maybe 20 million. But,
Well, there's been immigration to there too.
well, I know about it. And believe me, any Australian who has any sense knows about it too. Because there'd be all sorts of folks coming there who would not believe in the least in democracy. Fact is, would believe in the opposite, or as close as you can get to the opposite of democracy. And it's not just fundamentalist Muslims. And understand, when I say fundamentalist Muslim, I mean 70% or so of the Muslims. Like 70% of the people in Egypt voted fundamentalist Muslim. That's mainstream Islam, okay? Mainstream Islam in the two mainstreams is fundamentalist. It's fundamental to the Judeo-Muslim tradition. Put the Christian tradition in there is just ridiculous. Christianity it came out of Judaism, but it was a response. It's like saying, only more so, more ridiculous, talking about the Hindu-Buddhist tradition, or the Hindu-Jain Buddhist tradition. Jainism and Buddhism were a reaction to Hinduism, a reaction to the caste system, reaction to animal sacrifices, weirdly enough, because the Hindus used to do animal sacrifices, and then the Jains reacted against it. And the
you
Buddhists
could say that Buddhism changed Hinduism, had a positive influence on Hinduism.
Oh, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I mean, the
And just like
Vaishnavites.
Christianity had a positive influence on Judaism.
Well, you get a lot of Jews who'd argue that.
They probably would.
Yeah,
but it's true.
Unfortunately, it had to be true. And about the best thing that happened to Judaism is there was a separation of church and state imposed by their ethnic cleansing by the Romans. Now, I support the state of Israel. It is secular. The bad people in Israel are the people who actually won't fight, and they're the fundamentalists. When you say fundamentalist Jew, that's a small minority. But fundamentalist Muslim, what they've done, what Muhammad did, was went back and just largely forgot about the Christian tradition. He came along after, I think he started his religious mission or whatever about 610 AD. So this is 600 years after Jesus. 600 years. A long time. Just because something was a long time ago doesn't mean that like intervals like 1,000 years ago weren't shorter then.
Yeah.
People have this weird thing. They kind of collapse history and stuff like that. 600 years. This is a stunning amount of time. But what he does is he forgets about Christian teaching about grace and love and faith, and goes back to works. He goes back to the law.